We're not a people. We're not a people. We're not a people. But the big difference between us and Denmark and Norway and Sweden is we're not a people. We are a country of ideals. And if you're willing to come in and make a go of it, we're going to provide you with equal opportunity, not ensure equal outcome.
America is an idea. We're not an ethnic group. There's no such thing as an ethnic group. My parents are from Greece and Germany, and people are from Mexico and China and from all around the world, and they become Americans. My parents are as American as George Washington because they bought into an idea. To become an American is to buy into an idea. So if people don't know what those ideas are, we now become America in name only. We become Americans in quotes, and the whole thing goes away.
This country is not just a great landmass from Maine to California, from Wisconsin to Florida. This country is an idea. And that idea of America is in peril right now.
My wife is Moroccan, right? She's Moroccan Israeli. So this idea that it's about ethnicity as opposed to ideology or ideas is just not true. And the amazing thing about Judaism, just like most other religions, is you can become one. Hey, I can't become a black man. There's no way for me to do it, right? I can become a Christian. You could become a Jew, right? This means that there are ideological systems that you can buy into that allow you entry. And I believe that the United States should operate the same way. You can become an American if you buy into Central American ideals. But I'm not going to pretend that I care whether a bunch of people who are...
Look, Donald Trump was never supposed to be president of the United States. In my personal opinion, he is one of the best chances Western civilization has to continue. He believes America is the greatest country in the history of the world. He's been a fierce critic of socialism. His visit to Poland was a 40-minute critique of the fall of the USSR. He believes that the Constitution is the greatest political document ever written. Look no further than his appointment of Gorsuch and these circuit court judges. But more than any of that, he believes that America as an idea must be preserved, protected, and advanced.
Race and ethnicity have defined every nation on Earth, except one, the United States of America. It is defined by values.
The sad fact is, I'm going to put a high number on there. I'm going to say over 90% of Americans would fail this test.
Absolutely.
And they're all like, I'm an American. Well, you don't know what it means to be an American, because to be an American, it's defined by the Constitution. The Constitution is who you are. And if you don't know the Constitution and you don't live the Constitution, you don't breathe the Constitution, then you're not an American. You're faking it.
You can go to live in France, but you cannot become a Frenchman. You can go to live in Germany or Turkey or Japan, but you cannot become a German, a Turk, or Japanese. But anyone from any corner of the earth can come to live in America and become an American.
Tonight, let us dedicate ourselves to renewing the American Compact. I ask you not simply to trust me, but to trust your values, our values, and to hold me responsible for living up to them. I ask you to trust that American spirit, which knows no ethnic, religious, social, political, regional, or economic boundaries. The spirit that burned with zeal in the hearts of millions of immigrants from every corner of the earth who came here in search of freedom.
I ran for president 4 years ago because I believed and still do that the soul of America was at stake. The very nature of who we are was at stake. And that's still the case. America's an idea. an unrelenting stream of immigration, non-stop. Folks like me who were Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America, from then and on, will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength.
Way back in the early 50s, you predicted that the world was becoming a global village. We'd have global consciousness. And I'm wondering, now, do you think it's happening?
Well, now we're playing backwards. We're going back into the bicameral mind, which is tribal, collective, without any individual consciousness.
But it seems, Dr. McLuhan, that this tribal world is not friendly.
Oh no, tribal people, one of their main kinds of sport is sort of butchering each other. It's a full-time sport in tribal societies.
But I had some ideas. We got global and tribal. We were going to become
the closer you get together, the more you like each other.
Yeah.
There's no evidence of that in any situation that we've ever heard of. That when people get close together, they get more and more savagely impatient with each other.
Well, why is that? Because of the nature of man, or
his tolerance is tested in those narrow circumstances very much. And so identity is always accompanied by violence. Ordinary people find the need for violence as they lose their identities.
Last night, I tell you, to watch that thing on television as I did, to see those monkeys from those African countries, damn them, they're still uncomfortable wearing shoes.
Well, and then the tail wags the dog there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The tail wags the dog. Just had a call from Reagan, California, and as he said, he saw these cannibals on television last night, and he said they weren't even wearing shoes, and he says here the United States is going to submit its fate to that, and so forth and so on, and but that's typical of a reaction which is probably quite strong.
The classical explanation of ethnic identity in America was Protestant, Catholic, Jew. It's called the triple melting pot. What the Fourth Republic is going to...
Jews don't melt. Jews don't melt.
The Jews become Americans. They become not the kind of Americans I want, but they do become Americans.
They don't melt, they infiltrate.
So I say as an American with great sadness that the greatest exporter of toxic ideas today, except for perhaps the Chinese Communist Party, which does it far more subtly through TikTok and other ways, is the United States. It's incredibly sad for me to say, because I've really had a lifelong love affair with my country. But I don't live in a make-believe world.
Jews are among the leaders in the secularization of America is a tragedy for which Jews will have to atone before the Holy One, blessed be He, and before history. It is the sin of sins that Jews are so avidly working to make a godless America. It is something that will lead to the collapse of the greatest society in history and the society that has treated Jews the best in history. It's very terrible.
If diversity is our strength, whatever the our is, British, Britain, America, whatever, why, whenever the left comes out with a study from the UN or some poll on the happiest countries, do the least diverse countries always win? Finland is always up in the top 2 or 3, Norway, Denmark. How come? North Dakota, the state of North Dakota in the United States, is not particularly diverse and has the lowest, among the lowest crime rates in the United States. Now, why would that be?
Immigration is a means to electoral advantage. It is about power. More Democratic voters mean more power for Democratic politicians. That's the signature lesson of the state of California. Between 1948 and 1992, the state of California voted for exactly one Democratic presidential candidate. One. Alone among America's big population centers, in vivid contrast to Chicago and New York, California was reliably, proudly Republican. For 8 years, no less a figure than Ronald Reagan ran the state. California had the country's best schools, the best infrastructure, the best economy, not to mention the prettiest natural environment on the planet. California was a model for the world. In 1980, Ronald Reagan, its former governor, became president of the United States. In retrospect, it never got any better for California. Midway through his second term, Reagan signed something called the Immigration Reform and Control Act of 1986. Though he didn't likely realize it at the time, that law made future Ronald Reagans impossible. The Immigration Reform and Control Act brought about an amnesty and a path to citizenship for nearly 3 million foreign nationals living in the U.S. illegally. The next year, by executive order, Reagan added to that number. He halted the deportation of another 100,000 illegal minors, the dreamers of his day. The rest of the world watched carefully as this happened. Would-be migrants everywhere concluded that there was no real penalty for breaking America's laws. In fact, there was a reward. Reagan also signed a law that required hospitals to provide free medical care regardless of immigration status. The Supreme Court had already guaranteed free education to anyone who showed up without a visa. So, free hospitals, free schools, amnesty if you get caught. Why wouldn't the rest of the world come? They soon did. If you're ever bored, go back and read the coverage of the 1986 amnesty bill the day it passed. Everyone at the time, in both parties, in the media, assured Americans that the new law would control our border. It was called the Immigration Control Act, after all. The opposite happened. Huge new waves of migrants arrived immediately, many of them illegal. California was transformed virtually overnight. It became a Democratic state. In 1988, George H.W. Bush narrowly won California in the presidential election. No Republican has won that state since. No Republican ever will win in California, not in our lifetimes. There are now about twice as many registered Democrats in California as there are Republicans. How'd that happen? There's not much debate about it. The counties in California with the highest percentage of Republicans are, not coincidentally, those with the lowest percentage of immigrants, and vice versa. California changed because the population changed.
The closer you get together, the more you like each other?
Yeah.
There's no evidence of that in any situation that we've ever heard of.